Alrighty, Tigercast fans, it's time for some weekly video analysis. I know we didn't do this last week while I was away, but I wanted to get back into it, and I wanted to take a look today at some of the counter-attacks and the forward 50 entries that we really messed up against St Kilda in the last quarter in particular. I know we all saw it happen with our own eyes, but I more wanted to slow it down to see what options we could have taken and what options we should maybe look to take in the future to help fix up our front half issues, because it's causing us a lack of ability on being able to score. And if we can rectify this by 10 or 15% next year, we should see some better outcomes in a few more games. But before we get to the footage, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. We are on the charge to 4,000 subscribers. We want to hit it by the end of the year, and we appreciate all your love and support. But with that said, let's go jump across and take a look at the footage. Okay, so here we are in the last quarter. The Saints, I think, have just kicked their second goal in a row to bring it within a point. So things are obviously tightening up a little bit in the last quarter. We get a free kick here. Amazingly, we get a free kick in the centre bounce, which doesn't often happen. They actually paid a hold to Taranto, but yeah, I think you could have paid a hold to Hopper as well. But anyway, that's not the point of this exercise. So we're going to be identifying here a handball that we maybe should have given off to get a better inside 50. So they've just kicked 2 goals against us. So we're kind of feeling a bit of urgency now to get a reply. And then this unfolds. So Nank gets the ball, takes advantage. Now he actually looks to the left, which is interesting. I don't know whether he was looking for a St Kilda opponent or if he was looking for a Richmond player, but you can see all 4 of the St Kilda midfielders are completely flat-footed and are not in the chase whatsoever. I think that's Wangan Malira. He's already peeled off from, I think that might be Sonzi, to go and apply pressure to Nankervis. Now, what that does, as we roll it, as Nank's about to kick it, it actually leaves Sonzi open, I think it's Sonzi, open for a handball through that very, very wide and open gap. He could have just lollipopped it over the top, and then all of a sudden there's no front-on pressure, and Sonzi could have run in and either had a shot himself or he's got a bit more of a better look-up pass inside 50, and he's one of our better users of the ball. So we often talk about the quality of our inside 50s. This is a bit of a rush of blood from Nank in a situation where we needed to respond quickly. And I just think if cooler heads had prevailed, if we roll the footage, it ends up just going to the hot spot, gets spoiled, and St Kilda reset. Now, with the 6-6-6, I can kind of understand why there might be that temptation to just blast it in straight away, because you could be a better chance to hit a target, or it's all one-on-ones. But in that example, we had the easy option on the inside, and it could have either been an easy running shot at goal, or a forward could have double-backed, led up, and then we have an easy, lace-up pass shot at goal. So I just think there was a better method of entry there that we should have been exploring, that the better teams do use, rather than just blast kick that one away. So that was the first example. All right, here's the second bit of footage. Now, on this one, we have caused a turnover in the defensive part of the ground on a quick counter-attack. And we just picked the wrong option this time that caused the turnover. We had a few numbers in space. So we'll roll the footage. McRae's about to go forward for the Saints. Nathan Broad reads this really well here, attacks the contest. So at that point, our players, you don't see it here, but you kind of know it's happening based on how the setup looks afterwards. But when they see Broad attack the contest like that, a few of our players further up the ground have already made the assessment and started to take off the other way. So Brody gets the ball, breaks through the tackle, gives it to Taranto. So this is now the important part of this turnover. So you can see we've got good representation in the middle of the ground there. We've got St Kilda players are well and truly behind Tim Taranto and aren't really, he's not under any immediate pressure. So this is all just instinctive, quick transition football. The player down the bottom, which again I think is Tyler Sonzi, who's found himself in some space again, and I think there's a secondary player a little bit further up. I think we needed to look at those free plays. Again, the game's tight. We're wanting to get a response, and we had some one-on-ones up ahead. And sometimes kicking to one-on-ones are great, but when you've got someone out in space like Sonzi was, I think it's better to use him. And I don't know whether maybe if he wasn't yelling for the ball loud enough, it's obviously very loud out there as well. And maybe kicking to a one-on-one isn't such a bad option, but we'll see how it unfolds. Like, look at the space that Sonzi's now in, and even a handball over the top to I'm not sure who that is on the edge of the centre circle. It's a little bit blurred. But even just a dinky kick or a handball over the top would have seen us in with 2 players with about 25 metres to run forward into, to then be creative and do whatever they want. And that would have then given the forwards a chance to get into some space, lead, triple lead, change angles, do whatever. But instead, Taranto's just gone the long bomb straight inside 50. Well, not inside 50, but to the top of 50, overshot it. It was to Mansell in a one-on-one. Doesn't win it. The ball hits the deck, and St Kilda clean up, and away they go. So we've gone from having a potential 3-on-1 through the middle of the ground with no pressure to turning it over at the half-forward line on a quick counter-attack. And you can see there's Richmond players all around where Mansell is, and if we had have done the other options, all of those players would have then come into play as potential kick options inside 50. So that's just another sort of forward 50 bit of movement that we just didn't get right with picking the right option going forward. But like some people might be okay with the one-on-one option, but I just think in that example, the better teams, the teams who nail you on the scoreboard, would have found that player in space and used them going forward. Now, this third bit of footage, I feel like I'm maybe being a little bit too harsh on this one, because kicking to Tom Lynch in a one-on-one isn't necessarily the worst option. Unfortunately, he did give away a free kick in this instance, which did cost us the ball. But I can understand why this kick was taken at the end, but I just still want to highlight that we sometimes do have better options that could make the forward 50 entry look a hell of a lot different than what it ends up. So just keep that in mind. I'm probably not trying to be too critical of this one, but we'll roll it. We see Tash Houghton almost take mark of the year, which he will do one day, mark my words. So now we've got Hopper. Hopper cuts inside. So this is where things start to get interesting when Trezise gets the ball in hand. So he's obviously got a nice pocket of space in front of him. A couple of inboard options. There's a cluster of Saints players who are starting to push really hard defensively and some one-on-ones ahead. So Trezise does tuck the ball under the arm and run for a little bit, so we'll roll that. So about here is where I think there's maybe some different options we could have looked at. And again, I'm being maybe hypercritical here, and I do think a one-on-one to Lynch isn't the worst option. But if you look, so Trezise, we have to remember as well, as a left footer. So he's running on the inside, so it's kind of still in his favour. And he's not a bad kick of the ball either, but I would have liked to have maybe seen an inboard pass. We've got either a kick or a handball over the top to whoever that might be on the wing, and then Nathan Broad's a little bit further back, running through the middle of the ground. But by the time this all takes place, Broad is kind of towards the centre circle, and changing that angle up and shifting the defence, all of these Saints defenders down here would end up being lost at sea. And it can create some havoc further up forward. So we'll roll it forward slightly. So as Trezise kicks, there's still that inboard option that could have been on. That then we've got McIntosh, I think, on the wing in the middle of the ground. Broad's in there. Morris Rioli could have zipped around the outside too through the midfield. So we kind of just had some good numbers in the corridor, which is always the part of the ground you want to get to. And I feel like we maybe missed a bit of a trick here, but instead the kick from Trezise has gone long down the line. And again, going to Lynch in a one-on-one's not necessarily a bad thing. Lynchy took his eyes off the ball there and gave away the free kick. But even if it wasn't a free kick, we still end up in an outnumbered situation. So it's still ultimately not the best net result, but I can understand why the kick took place. But just small tweaks like that, when the corridor is presented to you like that on a counter-attack and you've actually got the numbers in there in an attacking formation, I think it's in our best interest to try and take that option. And maybe we've just been so ingrained to go to get it in long. I know being at games, you hear supporters say, get it in long. But with the way the St Kilda defenders were moving and shifting, they weren't really in a position to impact that corridor shift had we made the move. So we could have had multiple players through the midfield in a lot more space. Then it can change the angles up and we might have a shorter hit-up lead, and who knows what happens from there. But as we see here, a free kick against Lynch, and then it's a turnover complete. This next one here, honestly, this next one doesn't fit the criteria of what the video is about, but it's just a bit of bonus footage just because I was so impressed with what Tyler Young did here in this passage of play that I felt the need to highlight it again, because he has come such a long way with the way he uses the ball and the confidence he has. let's just roll the clip and talk through it. So they've kicked it behind. Vlosten's got the ball. He's about to kick out to Tyler Young out to the left here. Just watch the work that he does and the kicks he takes off. So he gets a little pass over the top to Sam Banks, runs past, gets the handball received. That kick there, that's a risky kick for anybody. I don't care if you're a midfielder, forward, defender, whatever it is. That is a difficult kick to take off at speed, and he hits it beautifully. Great mark as well from Jack Ross. But Tyler Young keeps running again to receive the next handball. Now, I think his next kick is 100% the right play. The momentum's going forward. I mean, you could argue there's an easy handball off to the side there, but with the speed at which the ball was being moved, their defense would be so caught out that it was the right play. And really, Seth Campbell should have turned this into an easy goal to nail Bolter in the goal square. We've got pretty good numbers here. It's a dangerous spot for St Kilda defenders. Hits the deck. That should have been right down Bolter's throat and a most certain goal to put us back in front with 4 minutes to go. But I just wanted to highlight Tyler Young's work there. I thought that was quite extraordinary and is a big part of his game that he's improved. So, a bit of bonus footage there. Okay, so this is the last bit of footage, and this is by far the most painful one of the lot, if I'm being totally honest. I cannot wrap my head around how this wasn't a goal for us. 3 minutes 22 left. Again, a goal puts us in front. Vital stage of the game, and we'll roll the footage. St Kilda get a free kick from with Sharman getting the free kick, and he makes the really interesting decision to kick this inboard and give it a little bit of elevation. But I suppose when you see Wanganeen Maliri, you kick it. So we've made the contest, brought it to ground. Jack Ross, we're off to the races here. I mean, I actually thought that they were going to get a free kick from it, but here we are. We've got the ball. So we've got three players just there in shot that are in a ridiculous amount of space. No one from St Kilda anywhere near these players to impact the contest or put them under any amount of pressure at this moment in time. So Jack Ross dishes off to Tim Taranto. Now, if we pause here, this is where I think Richmond supporters collectively were smashing their head against their TV, the brick wall, the seat in front of them, or whatever object they had nearby. Now, granted, the St Kilda defender has made up some great ground to put Taranto under pressure for that disposal, but at this level, at this stage of the game, when you look at the plays in front of you, there was so many other things we should have done here. It could have been a quick handball to, I think, is that Seth Campbell with the orange boots? You've got Noah Bolter down the bottom. You've got Lynch, who's actually led up at the kicker. Maybe, I mean, surely that's at least 15. Any of those three options keep the play going and or result in a shot at goal. But instead, I don't know what he saw or what he thought. I'm guessing he thought he could kick it into this pocket of space that Mansell could run onto. But that's not the percentage play I wouldn't have thought when there's three players clearly in a heap of space that we should be able to identify and kick it to. So if we roll it forward, he's kicked it and then the kick doesn't hit the target. That only has to be half a metre off, which it was, and it hits the deck, and we're now in a 3-on-1 situation where St Kilda have the numbers. We've got three forwards trailing in, so it would have to require Mansell to somehow win or halve it, which he shouldn't have been expected to do. Like we should have been dishing that off to Seth, kicking it to Lynch, or using Bolter out wide, who had no one within 5 metres of any of them, and we end up with what should have been a relatively easy shot at goal. But instead, the ball hits the deck, St Kilda clean up, and with 2 minutes 57 to go, we botch what was a really, really good chance to hit the front again. So they are just some bits of footage of some of the forward 50 entries on the counter-attacks in particular that we really need to work on. For me, that's the piece we've got to improve in 2026, because I say good teams score from that, but even teams 14th, 13th, 12th, and 11th, they would make you pay on those turnovers. We just don't have, for whatever reason, the right connection, synergy, cohesion, whatever word you want to use, front of center, and it's hurt us tremendously. We've left 3 or 4 goals on the table there, undoubtedly, and that's the ball game. And I know we're still learning and developing, but I guess my frustration is a lot of those examples we just watched came from senior players. And that's where I guess it's frustrating, where they should be able to identify and be in the moment enough to work out what they should have done, you know, to pick the right option going forward. And I understand it's all spur of the moment, the blood rush and things like that. But we just have to get better in that space and pick the better option going forward to kick some more goals. So that is the video analysis for this week. Make sure you get around the video, like and subscribe, share the video, show all your Tiger friends. It's let me know what you think. Do you enjoy the analysis? If I missed something, was there things we could have maybe done differently in your eyes that I didn't pick up on? But yeah, let us know what you all think in the comments below. And until the next one, go Tigers.